Hello, everyone. My name is Katie of the Greenland Quilter, and welcome to our podcast interview with Courtney. And I'm going to have Courtney tell you a little bit about herself and her channel, and then we're going to get started with the interview. So go ahead, Courtney.
I'm Courtney with Pieces Love and Quilting. I am a mom of one child, three dogs, two cats, and I have a spouse. I also do quilting for business purposes, and I'm also half deaf and hard of hearing.
Okay.
So I do a lot.
Okay. So, who influenced you to learn to sew, and how long have you been sewing? And can you describe your learning process?
I was self-taught because I basically the reason is self-taught is because I was injured on a job and I needed something to keep my mind occupied. And so I watched Angela Walter, if I have her name right, and she's one of the people I watched, and Tula Pink. Most of you know that I love Tula. Um, I've been doing it for since 2017. And what was the other one? Sorry.
Um, Talk about your learning process.
Well, my learning process is reading the pattern through and then sometimes make notes. And especially with my test patterns, I always make notes, what needs to change, what needs to be done, but not a lot, really.
How long ago did you start creating beautiful quilts?
Almost 8 years, 9 years ago.
Nice. What is your favorite genre of fabric?
Tula Pink.
Can you tell us why?
I just love her fabric. I love her style of her designs because you don't get to see that very much with the other, like Lori Holtz.
Yeah.
And I like to be bold. I want to be out and be the one that's being seen.
Okay. Cool. Who is your favorite? Well, you've already told me who your favorite fabric uh, designer is. Do you have a favorite pattern designer that you tend to lean toward?
Not really. I kind of float between everybody. Angela Walter, Tula Pink. I design my own.
I was going to get to that too. Can you talk about when you started designing your patterns and why you did that?
About 3 years ago, there's a pattern on my channel. It's called the Patriotic Placemats. And I started designing it because I couldn't find a pattern that was matching my vision. And I was like, I want to have fun with it. And I just felt like it needed to come out and show the world with it.
Wonderful. I love how smaller quilters are making their own patterns. I don't really have a specific designer that I follow either, but I like taking a pattern and turning it into my own vision of
For
what I want it to look like. So I understand that. Okay. Are you more of a traditional or modern, or do you lean in the middle when it comes to making quilt?
kind of in the middle. It
Okay.
depends. When I feel like I want to go modern, I go modern. If I go traditional,
Can you tell us why you like both of them?
because some patterns I do like out of the traditional, and sometimes I kind of mix them with the modern. Because if I like a certain pattern that, say, like a star, but I don't like the rest of it, and I want something out of the modern, I change the quilt, and that's why I'm in the middle.
As a quilter, is there anything you have learned that you wish someone would have told you about in the beginning?
Not really, other
No?
than I like to solve a problem myself before.
Okay. Tell us about what you envisioned in the beginning of your quilt journey and how has it changed over time?
I When I started, I was just doing it for myself, and I started getting to where I was falling in love. I was doing donation quilts for my kiddos' school, and they were selling them off like for a kindergarten class. I would have them draw on a block, and I put the quilt together. And then I was like, I wonder if I could grow it into a business. But not just, I don't do just long arming. I also piece for other people, because I feel like it gives me a chance to learn new patterns of what they choose.
Okay, that's awesome. Why do you make quilts and what does quilting give back to you?
Well, I like making quilts because they are great and wonderful gifts and makes my blankets feel warm and loved.
Okay. Do you feel like it gives something back to you?
More knowledge as I grow.
Okay, okay. What do you like best about making a quilt and what do you love doing the most? So, an example would be piecing, binding, quilting.
Most is between long arming and foundation paper piecing.
Awesome. Why do you love foundation paper piecing?
I love it. I like legit kits, but I like Violet Craft because she's got her how I put it, jigsaw puzzle when you piece after you put the fabric on. It's like playing with the puzzle, trying to fit it into its spot.
Okay, that's a great answer. What is your favorite type of quilt to make and why? And what I mean by type is it applique? Is it piecing? Is it whole cloth? What cloth? I did that again. Wow. Whole cloth, sorry.
Fun. I like piecing. I like to
Okay,
see it as it builds into a beautiful quilt.
that's awesome. What is the hardest thing about creating a quilt from your perspective?
Finding that sometimes the instructions may be confusing and I struggle at it, but most of the time, if I can't get it, I walk away and come back and figure it out the next day.
That's a great answer. That's the first answer I've gotten of that one. Awesome. How do you decide what pattern you're going to make?
I When I decide, I sometimes, let's take an instant, this Tula Pink Butterfly quilt, the newest version 2.
Mm-hmm.
If it catches my eye, I'm going to want to do it.
Okay.
I may buy the pattern first and look at it for a year because then I can have enough time to, and it's Tula Pink and most fabric designers are
Yep.
more expensive. It gives me time to find the
Okay.
read it.
Um, when you're out buying fabric, do you buy fabric with the pattern in mind, or you, like so many of us, we buy the fabric and then figure out what we're going to do with it after we've bought it? Where are you on that?
So I tend to usually buy what I have for a pattern. So instantly, if I'm testing a pattern, I tend to buy a little bit more personally because I like to have a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
But unless there's like a sale, I constantly go and get as much yardage I can because it means that it may not come back.
Okay. Uh, let's dig into that a little bit more. When you're buying fabric for quilting, do you go more toward buying yardage so that you can do what you want with it, or do you buy pre-cuts? Which one do you tend to lean more toward?
Yardage
Me
because I
too.
can more than what
Yep.
I can.
Okay, that's a great answer. How many quilts have you made, and how many do you actually have?
That's going to be a tough question since I've been doing it since 2017. I probably made, so for piecing side, I probably made almost 200 quilts. On my long arming side, I've quilted maybe 1,000 quilts already.
Wow, that
And,
is awesome.
and I give away maybe 100 of them so far.
Okay, okay. That's awesome. Now, do you name your quilts when you make them?
No.
Okay. Do you also, so we'll go a little further. On your quilts, do you put labels on them?
If it is coming from me to a family member, yes. Um, I do have plans intention in the future to make quilts to sell. I will put labels on there so that they know who they bought it from and when it was made.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about long arming quilts. You said you long arm them. Do you when you're long arming them, is there a way that you label these? Because I know you're getting paid to quilt someone's quilt. Do you monogram it in some way or put a little signature in the quilting itself?
No,
Or
because if
okay,
it's a customer's, I don't do that.
okay,
But like a quilt, I'll tell you. Yeah, I made a puppy quilt, which should be on my channel with those colorful rainbow puppy faces of
mm-hmm.
a different breed. I did monogram in there while long arming it and saying that I love you to my husband's name, and he saw that and he fell in love with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, what is your go-to thread
For long arming or for sewing machine?
for both?
Long arming mostly glide because I love free round bobbins because it makes it my job easier to just stick the bobbin in and go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not picky on the small sewing machines on thread.
Okay.
Whatever can get me get the job done.
Okay. What is your go-to sewing machine?
Bernina 770
Okay.
Quilter's Edition. Except for I have two of them, and one of them is a Tula Pinks Edition, and then my long arm is a Bernina Q24.
Okay. And your long arm?
The Bernina Q24.
Okay. Good deal. Is there anyone else in your family besides yourself who creates quilts?
My mother-in-law.
All right.
My aunt-in-law, which is my mother-in-law's sister, they both fell in love when we go on our twice a year girls' week trip. They started falling in love with quilting, and I got them in the knack of it. My mother-in-law used to be a costume. She created costumes for the kids for Halloween, and then just was like the kids were getting older. It's time to change projects, figure out things other than she does cross stitch with me. But she was like, I want to do quilting with you.
Okay. That's great. What other hobbies do you dabble in and do you spend as much time on them as you do making quilts?
I also do hand embroidering, cross stitch, diamond
Wow.
heart.
Ooh.
I kind of spend evenly between all my hobbies.
Okay. When did you start your YouTube channel? What were your goals in the beginning and how has that evolved over time?
Technically, I started my YouTube channel in July of 2020 or 21. I can't remember which. But when the pandemic hit, not having friends to hang out with, it was like I need to do something so
Yeah.
that they can learn different technologies, how to do something, how to do foundation piecing, how to fix a long arm without having to take it in. Um, but as the time it evolved, I felt like people wanted to see more, and I kept showing new things.
What is the name of your channel again?
Pieces, love, and quilting.
Okay, because I wanted to make sure they heard that. All right. Uh, what do you love most about your YouTube channel and what do you dislike about it the most?
I don't have any dislikes, but I love them creating friends through that YouTube, having a YouTube channel, and people wanting to ask me more questions. I've
Yeah.
had people ask me about my ears and when it's not involving quilting.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Okay, so here's where we're going to take a break from talking questions. I'm going to spotlight you, and I want you to share with us your favorite quilts and tell us a little bit about each quilt that you are showing us. And you can show as many as you want to. Let me get you spotlighted first. Okay, here we go. Go ahead.
Okay, I made this was my very first pattern that I did a foundation paper piece of.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, that is awesome. Can you
And
back up a little more?
uh,
Can you back up a little more?
if I back up any more, I'm gonna hit the long arm.
Oh, okay. Look at that. That is beautiful. So tell us about it.
So it is a Violet Craft lion quilt.
Okay.
And I started it trying to get into something new because I like to challenge my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the foundation paper piecing made me fall in love with it. So it creating an animal.
Yeah. It's beautiful. What fabric did you use with it?
This one actually came as a kit. So I
Oh,
believe
okay.
it was Kona.
Okay.
But I did use variegated thread. Probably won't be able to see as much. There we go.
Yep. What's the back of it look like?
It's just a simple purple.
Oh, look at the quilting on it. Wow.
And I
That's,
didn't want to do edge to edge with computer on an animal.
yeah, that's gorgeous.
Okay. I can get folded up. I have a quilt. And this one's really super big. So if you can't see it all, I do apologize. It is a tulip pink butterfly pattern.
You can actually show that in pieces if you want to.
I
Where
gotta
they
make
can,
sure it's upright.
yeah, and where they can see what you did. Oh my gosh. Look at that.
I think I have it upside down. Yeah, it's hard to know which way it goes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Did you find this pattern challenging?
It was because I've never done sewing curves,
Okay.
a lot of curves in it. So that's one of them. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get it done
Yeah.
because it was freaking me out, but
Mm-hmm.
I tried out, did it all right. But I love it as it is.
That's beautiful.
I decided when I was picking out the fabric for it to do batiks because I wanted the tulip pink fabric to be on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Now I finally found my backing for it. It is a variegated purple. It's like a grunge
Mm-hmm.
purple. Um, I decided that's what I'm gonna put on the back of it, and this is going on my bed so that I have it forever.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. You did a super duper job.
Okay. She did have where the border was only on top and bottom,
Okay.
and it was a wide border. And I was like, I don't need it long
Mm-hmm.
because one, we have two separate twin size bed that
Mm-hmm.
are adjustable. And some of my friends know that I have back issues. And so we went with that. And I'm like, I want it to fit my bed, not the whole bed.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put it on there because I have three German Shepherds. This is my
Oh,
price. So
you don't have any more to show us?
let me see if I can find one, but I tried to find them all. I don't know where I put my husband. So this one, I did the cut and cuts.
That looks like carnival.
No, this one was before the Tree of Life. Or really,
Carnival.
no, it was before that one. No. So it'd be the fourth one before these three.
Okay. That's
So,
beautiful. Do you remember what the colorway was called?
I can pull out the paper because I know where it's at. Piazza is what the puzzle quilt. I don't
Oh, okay.
know what the colorway was.
It's right there on your that little sheet that tells you what to do, the clues. Turn it
Yeah.
around where you see the front of it, and it'll tell you the name of what it is,
Mm,
or it should. No, okay.
no.
That colorway is beautiful with whatever it was.
Yeah. It was the boutique, and it has sea turtles on it. My husband's a
Oh,
huge
okay.
turtle, and that was one of the things that got my attention.
Awesome. It's beautiful. Okay. Uh, let's go ahead and start the fun part now. What is this first question doesn't have to do with you don't have to give me an answer relating to quilting. You need to be anything. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Spending money on fabric.
Okay, what is your favorite quilting tool?
I have a seam ripper that has it's a double-sided seam ripper. One's a small and one's that big one with the white pieces on the end where you rub against the fabric to get the thread out.
Oh, sweet. What quilting item do you wish you had invented?
I don't have one actually.
There's not
I
one
think
thing
I
you
have
wish that you were
my
the
own
inventor of?
tools. No,
Okay. What was the worst quilting disaster and were you able to resolve it?
having a hole in a quilt,
Okay.
and I was able to resolve it by hand stitching it back together.
Okay, great. What would you like to do in the world of quilting that you haven't already done?
Create more of my own patterns that are
Okay.
more fun and free, and especially foundation paper pieces.
Awesome. If you could watch anyone quilt in person, who would it be?
Angela Walter.
I would like to go watch her quilt too.
I went to her store, but she wasn't there because she was it was on my birthday. And that year she was interviewing Tula Pink on my birthday on a
Oh
live.
no. If you weren't a quilter, what would you do?
I would probably be back to jewelry making.
Okay. Tell us something about yourself that might surprise us.
Um, Other than I'm hard of hearing and deaf most of my life, but I didn't have a good enough speech growing up. As it is now, most people don't think I'm deaf and hard of hearing because my speech is so clear.
Yeah,
And going in grade school, it was hard to say a lot of words.
yeah, I understand. Okay, what is your favorite color and why?
Purple.
Can you tell us why?
Because I've always loved purple growing up.
Okay. What 5 skills should a beginner quilter learn about to help them become good quilt makers as they learn?
To always buy bigger size rulers because you never know what the pattern's going to require because you can't see the pattern until you buy it. So you always have a bigger size rulers.
Okay.
The other thing I would say recommend is to read your pattern through twice to make sure you understand what the designer is asking.
Okay.
Also, make sure you always have your seam ripper with you because Mr. Jack will always be your best friend.
Okay.
Um, Always invest in a good iron. That is another thing I've always learned as I was growing this hobby. Always having a good iron. Make sure you review the reviews because you never know. I've had a couple of the ones that everybody's talked about that if you grab the handle, I can't say the name. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
If you grab the handle that it goes down the plate, goes on the fabric,
Yeah.
and move the legs. I've had issues with them, and that's when we started looking for better irons.
Okay.
The fifth one would be make sure your space is clear so you when you're quilting, you're not quilting in a cluster mind phase and making a lot of mistakes.
Okay. All right. Great answers. Suggest 5 tools that every beginner quilter, let me try again. Suggest 5 tools that every beginner quilter should start out with and why.
A cutting mat, a rotary cutter, and those are the 2 first things you should have because you're going to be cutting your fabrics. But also you want rulers because rulers are going to help you get straight lines and get you the right size blocks you need. And the other 2 is make sure jack the seam rippers with you because you never know if you might accidentally turn a directional pattern upside down and you have to fix it. And the other one would be invest in a good sewing machine if you're going to do this in the long haul because you want it to last.
Okay, awesome. What advice would you give concerning how to take care of quilts to make them last a long time?
To make sure you have your stitchings at a good stitch length, but also to make sure when you get ready to long arm it, you don't have any seams that are going to pop open. Make sure you pick a design that goes with the quilt or makes the quilt stand out, piecing stand out more. And also make sure you wash it in delicate because if you wash it in regular, it's gonna wear out the quilt.
Okay. What advice would you give to a beginner quilter?
As a beginner quilter, I will tell you, I wish that I had did more research before I got into it, but I just loved seeing designs being turned in. So if you're unsure about a pattern or you're not sure what to do with a pattern, you can always ask somebody who may help. I tend to take whenever my beginners want to say, hey, I don't understand this pattern. Would you do this? And yes, I would do it with you so that you understand what's going on in that pattern.
Okay, that's a great answer. Now, this will be for any quilter. What other advice would you like to share with all quilters?
To always keep peace and joy while making quilts.
All right, that's a great answer. Okay, that concludes all of my questions. So, one more time, tell us about the name of your channel and any other social medias that you use for your business and for YouTube.
So all of my social medias, it's Pieces Love and Quilting. I am on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you everyone for sitting and watching this interview. I hope y'all learned a lot about Courtney. Remember to live, laugh, love, dream. And what do you do with all of that? You create. Bye, everyone, and see you on the next video.